Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, getting your start in business.
We take a look at 3 entrepreneurs and the unique way each got their start. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zach Miller, and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a weekly look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making an impact right here in Hampton Roads.
This week we're taking a look at the path to entrepreneurship. It can come in many ways, such as working your way up through the ranks, buying a franchise, or in the case of Denise Smith, finding a solution to a problem. A military wife creates a solution to a problem she saw in her own community. I'm thrilled to talk today with Denise Smith, the owner of Shipped with Love. Denise, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You started Shipped with Love about 3 years or so ago when you were stationed in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the reason for starting that company?
Well, my husband was deployed with the USS George W. Bush, and of course I had to send him care packages. And we had 2 young children. I was pregnant with my third, and I honestly was just over going to the post office, standing on the line and getting him all the things that he needed, but I couldn't just leave him out there without anything. So I thought there had to be a solution to this problem. I searched and unfortunately didn't find one, so I decided with some prodding from my husband to just go ahead and do it myself.
So you saw a situation where you're a young mother with young kids, the busyness of life, making it hard to put all these pieces together, and so you created more busyness for yourself.
Right. And just going to each store to get what they needed, I felt that I possibly could not be the only person who just didn't have the time to do it, so I created a solution to it and started it myself.
What do people get? What's the finished product like?
Well, we have several different options. We have a snack package, so it's just your typical snacks that they don't get on the ship. You have hygiene boxes, which have all your hygiene products, soap, a loofah, shampoo, things like that, because they're pretty much over just the bar of soap that they get on the ship. And then you have the protein package, because they definitely do work out a lot. There's not much to do on deployment. So you have that, and then they have combo boxes when you want just a little bit of both worlds.
Let's talk about growth, because I know you're in that growth mode where while your husband was deployed, it was the time you could devote to it while taking care of your children. But now he's home and now you're sort of full steam ahead with Shipped with Love. So what is that growth path? What has that path been like?
It's been hard. Many times I wanted to give up. So I'm very conscious about the price that I offer, and I honestly care more about the families being able to send packages than becoming, rich. So it definitely has been a struggle. When I first started, I just simply wanted to make enough to pay the car note to help out because I was home with the children. But now it has far surpassed that. And if you were to see a picture of what my first website looked like, you probably would not have shopped with me. You would have said, what is this?
What is the difference now?
The difference now is I answered a lot of questions for the consumer. Before, it was just kind of like, here's my website, buy my stuff. But I didn't say, what's the turnaround time? How long does it take to be delivered? What comes in a package? How many items come in this package? So I took the time to actually answer all the questions that they would have. So when you go to the website, everything is there for you. I also found that by not answering the question, you potentially lose a sale, because if I'm not up at 2 a.m. to answer that question, they've moved on by the time I replied to them at 10 o'clock the next morning. So by answering all of their questions ahead of time, they're more confident to continue to place that sale. And I also let them know, that I am a military spouse as well. I definitely understand what they go through. I share tips on deployments. And the number one question, how do you do it? How have you been through so many deployments with kids and so on? So I kind of relate to them as a friend as well, not just, here, buy my stuff.
What would you say to a new entrepreneur, to someone who, like you, has found a problem and maybe has created a solution and maybe doesn't know how to get to that next level?
I would tell them to think about what makes them different. If they're selling something that perhaps other people are selling, what makes your product different, and to zoom in on what that specific thing is and just really cultivate it and market that selling point. And I would also tell them, don't do something just because you feel it makes money. Do it because you truly believe in it, because then you'll work harder.
Denise, thank you very much. Success to you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we take a look at the ins and outs of buying a franchise. But first, it's another edition of the TAN Plan.
More HR Business Weekly to come, but first, the TAN Plan. It is noisy out there. How do you keep from being the best kept secret in your field? Here are 3 ways to market yourself better and be seen in front of new potential clients. Number 1, get media attention, showing you sharing trends in your field. 2, partner up with another organization, a nonprofit maybe. Pool your resources for the greater good. And 3, get out of the office and network effectively. More media and marketing resources can be found at CherylTanMedia.com.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Michael Wagner of Pool Scouts, a new franchise here in Virginia Beach. Mike, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
So what is the genesis of Pool Scouts? How did you come up with the idea?
So we're part of Buzz Franchise Brands, a corporate entity which is also the franchisor for Mosquito Joe, which has been a very successful franchise organization around the United States. We were really looking for our second brand and looking for a business that had similar attributes, which were recurring revenue, seasonal business, and a business that could operate from the home, which is very attractive for many prospective franchisees. So we did a lot of analysis around what industries might be fragmented and in need of a true professional approach, and we came across the pool service business, which we think is an excellent opportunity for that.
A lot of times people will say that the most lucrative businesses are the ones that aren't necessarily the sexy ones, and maybe the pool industry could be tied into that. Mosquitoes probably isn't, the sexy industry, but it's one that's lucrative and one that a lot of people can get into. Someone that might be looking at becoming a franchisee, what is the level that they can get into, and who are they, and what do they typically look like?
So we often target, especially in the early stages of an operation, what we call an owner-operator. So that's somebody who's going to be hands-on running the business, doing the work, and in our case, servicing pools. So that person obviously has to be the kind of person that wants to roll up their sleeves and get things done, wants to take a hands-on approach to customer acquisition, community involvement, and building their brand around their business. So we target, obviously, people. We do some personality analysis ahead of the franchise acquisition to make sure that they're a good fit, both for them and for us, to make sure that we can make them successful.
So one of the keys to franchising in the future, I think, is going to be trying to be locally owned and operated franchises, and I think that's something that you guys are focused on. How do you kind of brand that into the collateral for those companies?
So we do a lot of different things from a marketing standpoint. I mentioned the direct mail rifle approach. We execute that for our franchisees. We also help them build their marketing plans, and we take from the field and what works from franchisees and share that with other franchisees around the United States.
So really developing a playbook so that they can
Exactly.
follow that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So a lot of local ideas turn into national ideas through really creating a network where people share ideas, and that's one of the beauties of franchising, is that you have independent business owners who want to see their business owners that are around them be successful. There's really not a competition, other than friendly competition, obviously, to who can be most successful.
How do you create a brand around something new, starting from the logo to the exposure standpoint? How do you create that and figure out what works and what doesn't?
Well, for us, we worked with an agency, first of all. We didn't do it independently. We start with a market survey, obviously, to understand the market and learn more about that. We certainly did that with the pool service industry. From there, we go on to the creative side of things, and we were very fortunate to work with a local advertising agency on that project who did an exceptional job of coming up with a lot of different concepts. For us, it was important to retain humor. We have been very successful with our prior brand in keeping humor as part of the message and really creating something that's unique and different. We feel like with the Pool Scouts brand, we've got something that travels exceptionally well. We've developed some great collateral that brings humor into the equation, and it also helps us with the professionalization of the pool service business, which for us is a big selling point for prospective franchisees.
For anyone on the fence of maybe not starting a business 100%, but instead kind of getting into the franchise world, what would you do to recommend them to kind of get off the fence and do it?
Really, I'd look in the mirror and think about what your strengths and weaknesses are as a business person and as an individual, and think about what you like to do and what you don't like to do. The nice thing about franchising is that it offers you an opportunity to focus on providing a service or your customers and building your customer base, with a lot of the back office operations and marketing and customer acquisition being done through the franchisee. So if you like that aspect of it, I think franchising is a great opportunity. If you like the back office standpoint, I think it's tough in some ways. Either you have to find people that like the customer acquisition and customer facing piece to complement you, but I think really you have to look in the mirror and think about what your skill set is.
Great. Michael Wagner, poolscouts.com. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
We have more Hampton Roads Business Weekly coming up, but first we would love to hear from you. So if you have questions or comments during the show, tweet us at HR Biz Weekly. We're back right after the break. We have a great story of someone moving up within a company. Thrilled to introduce you to Nick Washington, the owner of Miller Meats in Newport News. Nick, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So when we're talking about moving on up, you started at Miller Meats 26 years ago, and you said you were making $4.25 an hour. What were you doing, and what was your mindset back then within the company?
Like you said, I started in the grinding department at $4.25 an hour. Then I started learning how to cut steaks, how to cut pork chops. I said to myself that I'm gonna make it in here. I'm gonna take this and run with it, and that's pretty much what I did.
When did you decide you were going to be the owner one day of Miller Meats?
Well, I looked at it and I was saying to myself, if I work hard, and I work hard for the company, and I work hard for the owners, that one day I would have an opportunity to own this business. And I believed it wholeheartedly, and it didn't matter what anyone told me, I believed it to be true.
How did it happen? How did it come about?
Well, Mr. Miller had a partner, and they decided to part ways. The other partner, Betty Foster, she sold the business back to him. Well, Daryl Miller is 66 years old, and he was ready to retire. So I came to him and I said, I want an opportunity to own this business. And through the SBA, we had to get an SBA loan to finance the sale, and through that we did.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
There are some challenges though, as I imagine. You started out as an employee and now you are in charge of everything. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you're facing now as you're the boss?
Well, one big difference is you're accountable, meaning you're not accountable just for yourself. I have 18 employees, so it's very important that we thrive and that we do well. I love that challenge though, because there's nothing better than helping people. When I started the company, when I got the company, I bought it. The deal went through on October 8th. It was a blessing because that day is the anniversary of my mother's passing.
I'm sorry.
But at the same token, it was a blessing because I got a future with my family. There's one difference about working for and owning. You can give an inheritance. And the Word of God says, and it's a faith-based business, and the Word of God says you're not truly blessed until you can bless your children's children. So that's my goal.
What did you at first think about being an entrepreneur, and how is it different? How is it really like now that you are one?
Well, to me, honestly, it's no difference, because when I was managing the business, I treated it as my own business. So I was preparing myself for it all along. So, like I said, the only difference to being an entrepreneur is thinking on a fast track, how can we grow? The company has business, and the company that we do business with is a foundation. And we want to build upon that. We just do not want to have one client, two clients. We want to create different avenues, e-commerce. We want to have other stores opening up in different neighborhoods. I want to go into all 7 cities.
What would you say to someone who wants to one day own their own company? How would you help them find success?
Believe in yourself. Work hard. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not possible. You can do anything that you want. Like I said, I'm a Christian, faith-based, and he said we can do all things, right? So I say go for it. Don't let no one tell you no.
Nick Washington, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Amen.
Welcome back. We've showed you stories about people starting a business to solve a problem, to rising up through the company.
Now, we want to take a look at someone getting ready to pursue a career in business. I spoke with Josiah Lindstrom, a student at Regent University, find out why he chose law school as a way into the business world. All right, Josiah, you're a little bit of a different business case. You're going to law school,
That's right.
but why would you do that if you're going to go into the business world?
Well, I went to University of Minnesota and got a liberal arts degree. And when I graduated, I realized I didn't have a skill that I could use in the business world. But what I did have was a liberal arts degree from a good liberal arts institution. So I thought, well, if I go to law school, I can get a skill that I can apply in the business world and keep learning about business.
And so from a business perspective, what specific things are you looking for that you can use kind of a law degree?
So what I found to be really helpful about legal education is it's really improved my ability to look at processes. And so a business, you always have the creative idea, and then you have to create a process around that idea, especially when you're going to leverage the business and scale it. And what law teaches you to do is to work with processes, be they the IRS code, be they Virginia statutes, and to look at processes and figure out where the gaps are, where the holes are, and to be able to communicate those processes well. That was something that going into law school I wasn't very good at. I could come up with lots of ideas, but in terms of sitting down, thinking them out, and scaling them, I was weak there.
So a business owner that, let's say, has been in business for a little while, maybe this is their 3rd year, they have a 6-figure business, maybe they do $250,000 a year.
Yep.
What type of process should they be looking at today in their business that might have been different, those 2 or 3 years before?
Sure. Well, it's been said that anytime your business grows by 30%, you basically have a whole new business. And so what you need to do is look at your business and figure out what are the processes that I have that are scalable and how can I improve those, and you rebuild your business model around those processes. So that might be, for example, a franchise. If you're a restaurant, it might be a sales funnel. If you're an online retailer, it really depends on your business model. But again, coming back to the legal side of it, once you have that creative idea, here's what I do. What I found that legal education helps me is to sit down and ask, how do I get from A to B to C to D, and then replicate that and scale it, say on a national or an international level.
And so how do you figure out what A is, what B is, what C is, what D, E, maybe F, G, all the way to Z? Obviously, with my name being Zach, you gotta get to Z.
You gotta get to Z, because Z is the most important letter.
Exactly.
I think of it like telling a good story. If I'm reading a book and the characters don't make sense, or I read the book and I just think, no, that wouldn't have happened, this would have happened, I quit reading the book because the author doesn't know what he's talking about. And when I look at a business or a business plan, for me, I want to figure out, does it tell a good story? If this was a work of fiction, would I read it and would it be compelling? And if there are holes and gaps, that might be where you're missing the B or the C or the D even though you're always going to have the Z again, because that's the most important letter.
Exactly. So I like that. I've never heard it that way. Telling a story
Sure.
as your business plan, because I think a lot of people get stumbled on creating the 100-page document when
Yeah,
maybe all
yeah.
they need to do was a 2-page document that kind
Yep.
of was a summary of that. But how do you kind of tell that better story?
Got it.
So that those processes are more complete.
Well, my managing attorney last summer, what she did is she didn't write business plans, she built websites. So, and in building the website, she had to focus on what's my value proposition? What am I telling the customer? And at first I was like, you're crazy. You're launching a business without a business plan? Like, that goes against everything I've learned.
Yeah.
But she basically just cut out a lot of stuff that didn't matter and cut right down to what is compelling, what problem am I solving for my client? Who are they? How do I get there? And I'm going to build a website around that, which is really, it's a story. The website's a story. It should make you feel something when you go there. The colors should communicate something to you. And if it's compelling enough, I'm interested. I want to find out more. And you take one more step down that sales funnel.
So from a law perspective, really understanding the book as a whole, and then kind of diving in and figuring out the different intricacies of the business.
Exactly.
This was great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Zach. Always.
Absolutely.
That wraps up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram at HR Business Weekly.
There, you will find segments from previous shows, plus some great behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.